like to thank everyone for joining us on our third masterclass. Um, if you recall, we've had two of these in the past, one on investor list, the other one on e-signature automation. And for those of you who have been part of those, you know that these are a wonderful deep dive into some of the WealthBlock features. So today's masterclass is on reporting and dashboards. So in this webinar today, we will be covering our brand new reporting and dashboard building tools. As many of you have shifted from completing successful raises to the ongoing management and maintenance of those raises, the ability to build out reports quickly and accurately and instantly distribute these reports to investors allows you to continue to scale your operations. So in this webinar today, there's a few areas that we will be diving deeper into. So we're going to start off with creating, a pretty basic vanilla transaction report. We'll talk about how you can add custom transaction data to your reports. We'll play around a little bit more with the filters, such as account lists and offers, and how you can group the transactions in your report to create custom portfolios. And then you can take those reports and you can actually build interactive dashboards. So this is where, the distribution of these reports to your investors, is really robust and it's very powerful. So we'll show you how to build a dashboard. We'll actually run through one really quickly during this masterclass. We'll show you how you can set those dashboards to be landing pages for the investor. So that's the first thing they see when they come in, as well as even overriding our default portfolio. As you've heard us say, 90% of what we build comes directly from feedback from our users. And one of the things we've heard is, hey, your portfolio looks great, but there's a few more things we'd like to add. Other metrics or charts or tables that we'd like to show investors that you're not providing in your default. So you can actually override our portfolio now by creating your own custom one. And then lastly, what we've heard is, people want the ability to potentially create investor statements, using the same tools that we provide for building deal pages, or if you've experienced building custom pages in our platform, you can now create investor statements. So we'll walk through all of this step by step, and hopefully by the end you'll have a new feature in your toolbox to help scale all of your operations. All right, so in your platform, and this is our demo platform you're seeing here, so obviously if this was your platform, your colors, your logo, and whatnot. And you'll notice you now have a new navigation item in your left nav, which is called reports. So the first time you click into reports, this is what you'll see. This card here that says create your first report with a little description of what you'll see after here. So if you go ahead and click this button, you're going to see that you're going to get this blank canvas here to start building from. Over here on the left side, you'll have a couple filters. You'll notice that a few more will show up on the top once we start building. But some of the quick things you can do is quickly filter your reports by various investor lists. As I mentioned, we had a masterclass on that previously. Lists are something you can create in your CRM. They can be dynamic lists based on attributes of investors, or they can be manual lists where you say these specific groups of people. And then you can take those lists and you can funnel them directly into reports, just as you can use lists all over our platform to gate who can view offers, who can click a document, which e-sign templates they get, and things like that. So lists are always, a recurring theme in our platform. They're very powerful. And then you can also filter your reports by offer if need be. Over here on the top, you have the report name. So we'll go ahead and just give it a name. Good thing about the reporting tool is it's all auto-save, so you never even have to think about saving. You can just type and then everything's saving in the background for you. All right, so over here, plus sign says create. Click the plus sign to add a column to the report. So we're gonna go ahead and really quickly build a pretty standard transaction report here. So when you click here, you're probably familiar with this menu. Basically, it's going to show you the options from all of your forms in your platform. So your account investor forms, your user forms, your offer forms. So if you've added, additional custom fields to your offers, they'll show up here. Similarly, transactions. So you got the built-in fields, but as you'll see in a little bit, you can actually extend your transactions to add additional data. So if you have an external accounting system and there's different metrics that they're calculating on transactions, you can actually import those into our system and then manage all of your reporting from within your WealthBlock platform. So we'll go ahead and add some basic information here. We'll start with account name. You can see as soon as you add it, it starts populating immediately. We can go ahead and add an offer name. So we got account name, offer name. Let's add a few more metrics here. Let's get some transaction metrics, such as the amount the investor is committed. Let's get the amount the investor has contributed. Maybe I want to see some distributions in my report. Maybe the current value. So we have the ability where you can enter statement balance transactions so that you can actually tell us, hey, $20,000 was invested, but the value of this asset has gone up and the person now has $24,000 is now the current value. So you can add that field to the report. And then there may be some basic things is you might want to know the date and the potentially the status of the transaction. So right there, very simple, really quickly, we were able to create a transaction report. And if you come back here, you can see the report is saved. You can always come back into it, view the details. Some of the other things you can do in the report then is, you can filter by certain date ranges. If you only want to see transactions in a specific date, maybe you're creating a report that's for a specific statement you want to distribute in. So a quarterly statement, you just want to show the transactions for that quarter, so you can do that. We have advanced filters here. We went a little above and beyond with our normal filter system. You guys are probably more familiar with is, we show you have your check boxes. We wanted this to be a little bit more dynamic. So you can go ahead and add filter where you can select the field, say, I want to see amount contributed. I want to show, an operator, amount, and then some sort of, value or something like that. And you can see it immediately filtered the view to contributions over that amount. If I go further, it filtered more. And you can keep layering on your filters. So you can add other filters for different things. If you want to filter by statuses, values. And basically, the options here are dynamic. They're based on the columns. So as you add more columns to your table, you get more additional fields to filter on. I'm gonna go ahead and take away these filters for now. In addition, you can group. So right now we're showing a wide open transaction list. So you can actually group this by offer or account. We'll talk about that in a second. We're going to come right back to there when we start talking about how you create a custom portfolio. And then in your columns, you can go ahead and, really easy ways to drag and drop. If you didn't put columns in your table in the right order, you can easily, drag and drop them. You can make columns hidden from the investor. So maybe you create a report and, its base case is this is a report for your team, but now you want to distribute as a statement. And maybe you have some custom data points in there that your admin team should be able to see, but you don't want investors. So you can actually quickly hide columns, and you can see it grays out over here where my cursor is. If it's hidden, that means you'll see it as an admin, but once we distribute it to an investor, the investors wouldn't see that column. Again, you can continue to add columns here. There's a little menu next to each column, and so we'll continuously be expanding this menu as you guys come up with new ideas. So, our approach with building any tool is, let's get a really powerful tool out there that has everything you need to move forward and build a really dynamic report. But, we really look for feedback and suggestions from you on, as you use the tool to say, hey, in this menu, it'd be really cool if I could, do something new with the column. So right now, just easy ways to remove the column, easy ways to add a column in between if you want to add a column to the left, so you don't always have to, add a column at the end. The next part I want to dive into in here before we get to kind of the portfolio, report is we're going to jump out of reports here for a second and talk a little bit about extending your transaction forms, because we've heard continuously that's very important for reporting and being able to, for WealthBlock to work well with your external accounting system. So if you don't already know, you can actually add a transaction form now. So you can hit plus, and what this will do is it will actually extend the fields that we're collecting on transactions. And so you come in here, same form building tool that you use for adding fields to accounts that you've used for adding fields to offers. You can now add them to transactions. So let's say I come in here, we'll add actually a very common field that we hear a lot about, which is rolling closes. So we have a lot of our customer base have an offer that has multiple closes that are staggered. So you can come in here and let's say we had a field called rolling close. Maybe we just call it close 1, close 2, close 3. Real simple, and we save that. And what you'll notice now is when we go into a transaction, let's go here, filter, you can now will see that new field. So all of a sudden here, you see the data points that were on the standard data points that you see when doing a transaction, but you see your additional fields. So you can see how easily you can extend, if you have 10, 15, 20 other fields that you are internally tracking on a transaction, you can easily add it to the system, and then you can import that. So, in this case, let's set this as rolling close 1. And let's say now you had all this accounting data and you wanted to get into the system. For those of you not familiar, for our bulk importer, you can do that. So we have the standard fields here, but any additional fields that you added would show up here. So you can see roll and close, I can add to my import, and I can actually import those into all of my transactions. And then the reason I want to show you that is because we hear a lot about that when it comes to reporting, is like, hey, I have more data points than and I would love to report on that in WealthBlock. And so if we come in here, you can see that now transaction rolling close is now a new field in my report. All we did was add it to our form, and now the rest of the system, whether it's bulk importing, whether it's reporting, account, CRM, it all knows about this new field. And I can add it here, and you can immediately see the value. So I set the value 1 on just one transaction, and you can see that it's populating here. So you can see it's working as designed. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this column. And so now we're going to talk a little bit about how you can take the same transaction report to create derivatives to be used for different use cases. So I'm going to back out of here. I'm going to take this transaction report, and I have this nice copy button, so I can copy that. That's going to create a copy of that report. And so here we're going to focus on this grouping feature, really powerful. So right now, transaction report, we're seeing all the transactions across the entire system. So, similar to what you'd see if you click transactions in your left nav. But let's say I wanted to create a report where I wanted to, let's start with aggregating by offer. So if I click offer, it's grouped everything by offer. So it's summed up all the values. You can see now it just has the offer names. There's no more account information and all the sums. So all of a sudden, I've turned a individual granular transaction report into an aggregated offer report with the click of one button. I could do the reverse. I can take an account report where now I'm aggregated across all of my accounts. So I can see my 4 investors, and I can see all their data points. And the last one, which is probably one of the first is what you would use if you wanted to override the portfolio, is to group by account and offer. And what that's going to do is essentially create a portfolio, because now you have the uniqueness is by account and offer name, and then everything is aggregated within the unique account offer combination. So all of a sudden now you have a portfolio report. So I'm going to go ahead and just rename this our portfolio, because you'll see how we use that later. Okay, so right now I've got 2 reports. I've created a transaction report. I've created a portfolio report. So now we're going to show you how you can build interactive dashboards to actually present these reports to investors. And there's a couple different ways you can do so. Well, 3 ways in particular that we're going to show you on how these reports can be made available to investors. So we're going to jump into here and click New Dashboard. I'll give our dashboard a name. Call it the Investor Dashboard. We're building out here. And you'll notice a familiar workflow here in this button here. This is basically what you've seen when you're building a deal offer details page. It's basically, or it's the same thing you see when you're building custom pages. So, familiar UI, if you've done that before, this should be a breeze. And now you can build a dashboard using custom information or those reports. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start. You'll notice a few different options here in here that you don't see in the deal builder, such as performance metrics and reports. So we're going to go ahead and add some performance metrics. We're going to do a 3-column layout. Right now, we're gonna try to replicate the WealthBlock portfolio, but we're going to do it with a little bit of additional spin that actually enhances it. So we'll go here and we'll add a few metrics here. So let's copy some things here. You can add a tooltip too if you want to add additional information. And then there's dynamic variables. So what you can do is familiar dynamic variables. You can click them, and then there's different ones here. So this first metric here, we're going to say total contributed, and then we're going to add another field. We'll just go ahead and add 3 quick metrics. Basically, this is the same metrics you see on the top of our portfolio today, and add 1 more metric here, which is our time weighted return. And now you'll notice initially it's 0, 0, 0 because it's actually pulling in data from me as an admin. So something we immediately saw would be extremely helpful is, hey, as I'm building this, let me see this as a particular investor. So you actually have this button over here that says preview as, and you can search for an investor account. We'll go for Warren Buffett here. And now you're actually building this dashboard as if you were in the Warren Buffett account. The good thing is these dashboards are dynamic. So it's not like you're building it for Warren Buffett. You're just building a template, and whoever sees this, whatever account investor sees this, the data will dynamically only show for them. So it's pretty powerful. You build one template, and then every investor can access this, and they only get their information. So we're going to go ahead and let's add a little bit more information. Let's make this, pretty more exciting here. So we're going to go add some text. So one of the things people have been asking for is, hey, in your current portfolio, great, I see charts, but what if I want to add a little bit of, a little more pizzazz, something that looks more like a statement that I would distribute where I have a little, manager summary or something like that. So we'll go ahead and add some of that. Again, we have the design options. We're going to go for 50% width here, just so we can add more information. So we click here, got performance summary, and then we're going to go ahead and add a video. So this is something that's really exciting. What's really powerful about this is, usually when you get a statement, it's static, right? It's a static PDF. You just text on it. You don't have any way to be more dynamic. So similar to the shift we saw from, just sending someone a deck by email, and now you have, our offer building tool where you can actually, add video and more engaging content. As we found, when you add a video, people are much more likely to listen to that. They're quicker to invest when they have that dynamic content than when it's just static text. So we'll go ahead and throw a URL in here from YouTube. We'll pull in a video. There we go. Source YouTube. Again, it's my man Warren Buffett here. And you can see how we've dynamically brought in a video into your portfolio. And then lastly, we're going to go ahead and add some more of the good stuff, which is kind of the transaction reporting, portfolio reporting, and things like that. So we'll go ahead and hit this. First, we'll add some headings so that you're not just dumped into a table. So have a couple headings here. So we'll start with the investment portfolio here. Go ahead, large. We'll even add a date, so you can add a little subtitle here, so people have a little bit more context. So investment portfolio, and we'll go ahead and add another text element here because we are going to add, let's see, transaction summary. Remember, we had a transaction report before. Go ahead and put another date. So we got these headings here. Let me make this text large as well, so it matches in style. So right after this investment portfolio now, we're going to go ahead and pull in our reports. So if we choose a report option, all those reports that we just built, we can actually pull in. So we'll pull in our portfolio report, and right there, that table, that report, dynamic report we built, is pulled in. And what's cool is there's a few different display types. So you have a table, and maybe you want to show that report as a bar chart, so showing the asset values across the different holdings of this investor. Maybe you want to show it as a pie chart. So it's showing you based on the tags on the offer, showing you the percentages. And lastly, maybe potentially you want to show it as a line chart. So we even show the returns over time in a line chart. So we can we'll go ahead and stick with a table here, but then we're going to go ahead and right after it, let's add that report again. And let's add it again as a bar chart. And we'll add it again as let's see, there we go. And we'll select our report, and maybe we'll go with let's go with a pie chart here. And then lastly, we have our transaction report down here. This was just the transaction history. We'll just do this as a table. No need for a chart for this and here. And so now we have a nice little, we'll go ahead and save this. And what we have now is a nice little dashboard we've created. We got some metrics on top. We got a summary from the manager. We have a video. We have portfolio aggregate of offer and investor. We got some charts for the portfolio, and we got a transaction summary. So you can see how you can continuously build and build on this. Now the question is, well, how do I get these dashboards over to investors, which is ultimately what you want to do? So there's several options for doing that, and we'll walk through each of the three. So over here, settings, and you'll see here just a couple settings. So again, looking for always welcoming more feedback of how we can expand the configuration and option set of the tools we build. One of the things you can do is set as a landing page. So if you set as a landing page, what's going to happen is immediately when the investor enters the platform, the investor will see this dashboard. So that's the first thing they'll see. Or you can set it as a portfolio. So if you set it as a portfolio, what's going to happen is our default portfolio that you see over here will actually be overridden by this custom view that you've created. So we're going to go here and save this off. I'm going to go back and forth between the investor and admin here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to set as a landing page, and we're going to set as a portfolio so we can see the effect of both. We're going to go over to that investor that I was previewing, but again, you can do any investor. As we said, all we've done is created a template, and every investor who logs in will have the data scope to themselves. So go ahead and just grab an invite link here so that we can log in as this investor. And you'll see this is now the landing page. So the first thing the investor sees, before, we're used to the investor seeing their offerings in the marketplace, but all of a sudden now you've built a custom dashboard. We're only 28 minutes into the call or into this webinar, and and if you take away all my talking and descriptions, it probably would only take about 15 minutes to create transaction reports, portfolio reports, create a custom dashboard, and set it as a landing page. Very, very quick, very, very powerful. Investors will now have this new icon up here. So, if they do start bouncing around, they're in offerings, they're in accounts, they can always get back to their home dashboard. So this icon only shows if you set the dashboard as a landing page. And then what we also did is we decided in this case, and you probably wouldn't do both. You probably wouldn't set it as a landing page and a portfolio, because then it's kind of redundant. They're seeing the same thing in two different places. So most likely you'd create, maybe you create a landing page custom, and then you'd have a completely different dashboard for your portfolio. So you can create as many dashboards as you want, and use them however you want. But we did in this case set this to be both the landing page and the portfolio. So if you come in here, you can see, if you're used to our current portfolios, you'll notice that this doesn't look like it. It's now our dashboard. So under the investment tabs where you used to see the default WealthBlock portfolio, you now have this custom portfolio that we've created with all these metrics. So, a lot of people have been asking for this for months now. And so very happy that we know that we've been able to deliver it. And then the rest of the portfolio is the same, pending transactions, transaction history. If this particular user had multiple accounts that they were a user of, in our current portfolio, if you notice, you can say, hey, show me a portfolio for the current account, or show me a portfolio for like all the accounts that I have access to aggregated. So the same thing would work here, where you'd have that toggle, and this custom dashboard you created can be dynamic, aggregated across all the accounts I have access to, or just the current account I'm logged into. So again, you're just building a template, and the system is smart enough to do the rest of the heavy lifting for you. So the last thing that we want to show you here in the distribution of or ways you can distribute reports or dashboards to people is as statements. So, it's actually like investor statement documents that they can see in their document library. So I'm going to log out here and log back in as my admin account. And what we're going to do is go back into reports. We'll go back into that dashboard we created. And over here on the top right, there's a button that says distribute statements. So that's, again, that came directly from feedback from our clients. A lot of them are getting statements directly from their fund admins. One of the things we pride ourselves on is our, UI and attention to design, and the ability to take, usually static content, and turn it into, interactive online experiences. And so now, if you like, you can build your statements within the WealthBlock platform, and then add things like videos and things like that. And of course, we know that some people still want to take that, kind of physical copy of the statement, as a PDF. So we have the buttons in there to export as a PDF. So that's still possible. So when you go in here and hit distribute statements, first thing we're going to do, here's those account lists again. So we do it by account lists. So you can, so now you can, easily segment who you want these statements to go to. You don't have to send it to your entire database at the same time. So we created a couple of lists ahead of time before this meeting. So we'll go ahead and send this to our value investors list. Next it says statement details. So all we need to know is, a folder name. So maybe, and if you have an existing folder, what's nice is, let's say you're doing this every quarter, right? If you have an existing folder called investor statements, or whatever you call it in their document library, it will put the statement in the right place. So you just give it the same folder name, it finds the folder, puts it there for you. Maybe we'll call this our 2022 Q3 statement. Give it a description if you want. You can tie it to, an offer. If it's a statement specific for an offer, you can do that as well. And then we'll go hit bulk upload. And what it just did is it just bulk uploaded this statement to the investors that were on that list. So if I go over to those investors, such as the one we were working on, and I go to the document library, you'll see they now have a new document in there, which is that statement. So the same thing, if this investor was to log in, they went to my documents, they would see this exact statement. And when they click it, they're going to get the dynamic dashboard statement that you just created. Again, remember, you can configure it so that it's only in a date range, so that, hey, this is quarter 3, quarter 4, however you want. There's an export PDF button for them as well. So that's pretty much it. We were able to get through here, and I think we even started about 5 minutes late. Within a half an hour, we were able to cover. Let's go back to our agenda here. We talked about creating transaction reports and showed you how easy it was to go through, just add columns. We talked about adding custom transaction data to reports. So using our form builder, you can extend your transactions, and then you can, you can either just manually update those values, or you can bulk upload them. So if you've got an external accounting system with bulk upload, all these external transaction metrics, add them to our report. We showed you how you can do groupings in your report, so you can create reports that look like portfolios, or maybe it's a report that looks like, or it's a report for, I just want to see offers. I don't care about individual investors. I just want to see totals, or vice versa. I don't care about what offer you invested in. I just want to see your total holdings for each investor. We talked about building interactive dashboards using the exact same tools you use today to build our offer details pages, and then how to distribute those dashboards. There's 3 ways, again, if you're called to distribute those dashboards. You can distribute them as a landing page, first thing the investor sees when they log in. You can use it to replace our existing portfolio. And lastly, you can actually distribute it as a statement that lives as a document that lives in their document library. Thank you, everyone. Play around with the tool, jump in there, send us feedback, and enjoy the rest of your day.